In order to gain market share, a strong brand presence both locally and globally is required. This is the case for Lenovo today. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lee, and we are students from INTI College. And please allow me to introduce my team members. This is Miss Gan, followed by Miss Yap, and lastly Miss Nurul. So Miss Gan will talk about the situation analysis of Lenovo right now.
Alright, thank you. So before we take a look at the company background, I would like to talk briefly about today's agenda of presentations. First of all, we will touch a little bit about the company background, and after that, we will take a look at the situational analysis. So after we analyze the situation, we will come up with the two major issues for today, and after that, we will explain about the strategy, implementation, and the risk of it. So hopefully by the end of the presentation, we will be able to answer the key issues. So now let's move on to the company background. Basically, Lenovo have three products, which is smart connected devices, mainly PCs and notebooks. In 2012, its PC shipments surpassed Dell, and now they are competing head-to-head with HP. And then Lenovo apply two strategy, which is the growth through acquisition and the protect and attack strategy. They protect the China market, and they attacking areas where the company saw opportunities. So for 2012 until 2013, Lenovo aimed to achieve the growth tablet and smartphone in China, launch smart TV through the acquisition with Sharp, and expand cloud offerings to worldwide. Now let's move on to the situational analysis. The strength points of Lenovo is the low manufacturing cost, as they manufacture the products in China, so it's allow Lenovo to cut its production costs. And then they have a very good position in China market, and also the strong distribution network, as actually they are recognized and have positive reviews for their innovation, product design, and product functionality. However, the Lenovo is still lacking in terms of global brand presence, because even though they have a good innovation, but their products is still unrecognizable in the global market. And they have ineffective marketing plan. Actually, they have already spent many costs for their marketing, but it seems like they're still not successful enough to market their product globally. And for the opportunity side, we see that there is a growing demand in smart connected devices, as it can be our good opportunity to further growth in this area. And in terms of the threat, we realize that Apple and Samsung establishment in smart connected devices can threat our product. So after we analyze the situation, we have addressed the two key issues, which is the Lenovo still need to apply protect and attack strategy, and would Lenovo be able to break the barriers and become the global top 100 brands? So to address this issue, I will pass the stage to my colleagues to further explain.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Gunn. Now I'll explain on our recommendations to the issues of whether Lenovo should still apply its protect and attack strategy in the face of this change from the PC market towards the smart device markets. Now, our answer is yes. Lenovo should still implement this strategy. And why? Because Lenovo needs to first, Lenovo is not the top manufacturer, not the top company in this smart device market in China. In order to go global, we believe that Lenovo should first protect its position in China, aim to be the top in China before actually going global. And that is why we believe that they should still implement this protect and attack strategy. Now, how are they going to do this? We believe that acquisition is the answer, an acquisition with proper partners, with strong partners in order to address the issue of achieving a global brand presence in order to enter the global top 100 companies. Now, why did we say that acquisition is the way to go? Because Lenovo has the resources, they have the supplies, they have the capital, they have high assets, they have a good management, they have distribution channels, global distribution channels in China, in Russia, in Israel, and other parts of the world. So they have the supply, but they lack the demand. That is the volume for them in order to digest the costs that they have created in investing 800 million in a plant in order to manufacture smart devices in Wuhan, China. So we believe that in order to digest this cost, they need the demand. And they have the supply, they just lack the demand. So acquisition is the way to go in order to acquire a company that will be able to help them to improve their weaknesses of marketing. As mentioned by my colleague just now, they do not have successful and effective marketing campaigns. So they would need to acquire a company that has strengths in this area so that they can improve in this area. And they also have the strengths as they have received awards for product innovation, for design, and for functionality for their products in the smart devices market, although they were not recognized. So they should leverage on their strengths, and they should acquire, and by acquiring they leverage on their strengths and they improve their weaknesses by using the expertise of the company that they have acquired. So we believe that this is the way to go for how they can use this protect and attack strategy. This is the way for Lenovo in order to implement this strategy. Okay, and now I'll pass it on to my colleague, Mr. Lee, on how, what kind of partners they should acquire and how they can fully implement this.
Thank you. Alright, as mentioned by Ms. Yap earlier, she mentioned that we actually can provide, Lenovo actually can provide supply. So how are we going to create demand? So the question is going to be answered through acquisition. We believe that the best way to create demand is through acquisition of Huawei. So why do we want to acquire Huawei? It's because Huawei will actually provide the demand, and they are the world number 3 in terms of the smartphone vendor. So what is going to result in the acquisition is, first of all, as you can see here, there will be a strong homegrown brand. So this comes along with the protect and attack strategy that we are going about. So in order to protect a strong homegrown brand, we believe that the acquisition of Huawei will actually allow Lenovo to become a huge giant, and thus able to break through the barriers of the Chinese companies having not able to achieve the global top 100 brands. So secondly, at the attack part, how are we going, once we have actually protected our homegrown and our home base, the next thing is attacking. So we understand that Huawei is the world number 3 in terms of smartphone vendor. So this is how we are going to go about into attacking the global market. Once we acquire Huawei, we believe that with the strengths that Huawei has, it will actually allow Lenovo to attack the global market. And also currently, we believe that there's a very ineffective marketing plan from Lenovo himself. So with the acquisition, we believe that it will actually mitigate the current weakness of Lenovo in terms of the brand itself. Yep. So next up, I'll pass on to Ms. Nurul. She'll be talking about the risk management.
Yeah, we're talking about the risk. Okay, the risk that we may face in this the whole situation in which we are trying to acquire Huawei. First of all, is that the acquisition with Huawei will not increase its branding. There is a possibility that it will not work by having this acquisition with Huawei. Secondly, there will still be competition from other brands such as Samsung and such as Apple. This is also the case that we might lose the market share that currently we are targeting in the Chinese market. And thirdly, there will always be a risk of the cultural integration when there are acquisition that is acquisition that is taking place between these companies, which is the Lenovo as well as with Huawei. Basically, the ways in which that we have decided that it should be mitigated is through R&D. As my colleague has said earlier, Lenovo is well known for its innovation and its design. And in the future, in the past, they have actually won awards based on innovation technology. Therefore, I think that this risk could be mitigated by improving their research and development between Huawei as well as between the two of them upon acquisition, as this will slowly be able for them to compete with other competitors in the market. Now, secondly, this I have explained, and the third one will be with regards to cultural integration. The cultural integration that would happen in the event that an acquisition it will take place is that the team there could be a hostile environment in the company as a whole. And what do they have to do in order to mitigate is to bring them to communicate regarding the vision and mission of what this company is trying to achieve, such as they are trying to get the biggest market share in China. So this is what they should do in order to overcome these problems of cultural integration. Now, we'll move on to the timeline. Now, firstly, for the short term, we will focus on the acquisition first. Obviously, and in the long term, we will be slowly going on to focus on the research and development that will be taking place in order to improve the current position of the company as well as to increase its market share. And in addition to that, with regards to financial analysis, we just think that there have been a constant increase in budget for, it's not in here because we don't have time, there is a constant increase in the marketing budget that is being done by Lenovo, but this is not making anything for them. It is not, it's a cost and benefit, it's not giving them benefit, therefore they should actually decrease their marketing budget in order for them to improve in the future. And now we'll sum up. So basically what we have talked about today is that whether they should defend their protect and tech strategy, which in our opinion, yes, they should. And secondly, whether they should have an acquisition with Huawei. And yes, we do think that the best partner for this acquisition would be Huawei in order for them to improve their market share, in addition to be able for them to break the barrier into the global top 10 brand position. So thank you.
Huawei is not a listed company. They are very, very strong financial. Is Huawei's, do you know the shareholders of Huawei? Do you know who owns Huawei? Huawei Huawei's shares are mainly in the employees' hands. Okay, if they are not going to sell, how can you acquire Huawei? And Huawei's main owner Yang Zhengfei is actually closely linked to the Liberation Army, according to nobody publicized reports. If they are not going to sell, how can you do the acquisition?
I believe that because we know that Lenovo has certain strengths, I believe that if Lenovo is able to persuade them by using their strengths, by showing them their financials of increasing growth, that they were able to persuade them. Of course, they would need to build a relationship of trust from ever since they had the idea of actually acquiring Huawei. So that would be one of the ways to be able to get them to agree to that.
Do you have any idea about the market?
So come again?
Do you have any idea about what would the price to pay if they want to acquire Huawei?
The price to acquire Huawei. we don't know the exact price at the moment. We don't know the exact
Okay.
price at the moment.
I think on top of that, in terms of the acquisition, I mean, obviously you talk about the
Yeah.
culture sort of risk. But on top of that, I mean, you only mentioned about R&D being the synergy. But how about other consideration in terms of dilution of management, the financial consideration which we mentioned, regulatory considerations? And obviously, it's almost strike to me like it's a reverse takeover because Huawei is actually a very, very big company themselves. So it's almost exactly to what Leah just said. It's almost like if I'm Huawei, I'll say, well, I'm taking over you rather than you taking over me.
Exactly. Have you thought about the
Sorry.
alternatives? Okay, if Huawei doesn't work,
Yes.
have you thought about it contingency and fallback? I mean, at the plan B,
Yeah.
how are you going to proceed with this protect and attack
Okay.
strategy if Huawei is not available?
Assuming Huawei is not going to work.
Assuming Huawei is not going to work. We have thought if acquisition is not the way, then perhaps strategic alliances would be the other method.
Yes.
Because
Because we believe that in order to actually to allow this protect and attack strategy to work, and we believe that it is very important to actually have a very strong home ground to build on, and we believe that using strategic alliance might possibly be the way to go in case the acquisition did not manage to go through.
But the strength of Lenovo is more hardware rather than software.
Yes.
So how would the strategic alliance work with Huawei?
Yes, because Huawei is actually more towards a smartphone vendor, whereas Lenovo, as mentioned earlier, they invested 800 million into a manufacturing plant. So Lenovo can be a strategic partner in the sense that they are actually manufacturing for Huawei's products, and on the other hand, Huawei will be the person will be the frontliner providing the demand.
Yeah, I think before we zoom into a target, and I know Huawei is actually not a target. They make a lot more than smartphones, and they're not going to sell anything to you. Okay, but I think when you approach the case, you do the SWOT analysis very good, and there's something missing there, but you did what you really think. What you suggest did not really address the problem, right? Well, first you need to let us know whether being a top brand means anything to a shareholder, and you didn't say that. And then how do you address that if it is important? Huawei is not necessarily a brand, as you know, right? There are a lot more famous brands in the world. And if Lenovo is not a brand, a well-known brand, shouldn't they be looking at well-known brands to address that? Right? I mean, there are many ways to look at that before you say, okay, my strategy is to buy someone, right? And before we even know if that person is, or that company is the right company to buy.
Yeah.
But that is missing here in this whole presentation. Why do you say this is the right thing to do? To go for M&A? And then if they're weak, why are they weak on brands? Well, they may not have enough technology to support that. Then you go back and you analyze the whole computing market. What is in the value chain? What is missing that is making me not a famous brand? Brand takes time, right? Apple is Apple because it's not just that piece of hardware. It's because who they are, what they have been doing, innovation. So where is Lenovo from innovation? In the case, it didn't say. That's clearly missing in terms of innovation. So how are you looking at innovation? You may want to acquire something smaller rather than such a big thing with their own set of financials and established products. There are a lot of new technology in the world that they can work. I mean, in the case, they talk about doing investment in other parts of the world that brings technology there. Shouldn't you be addressing that too? Should we speed up that wave of acquisition to bring technology together and assemble a new thing? right? So I would expect a little more in-depth analysis of what this whole computing thing is, that industry. What are we looking at moving from the connectivity, right, from computer to the other parts of the handsets, laptops, and tablets, TVs, things like that. So that's what I would think the direction should be. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's very valuable.
I think another thing I want to add, maybe I'm repeating Jeffrey's point. I think you started the presentation saying that what the Lenovo lack is global brand. But I wonder if you can quote any examples where a company can build a global brand which one is lacking by acquisition. Because if you're lacking a global brand, that means you're basically like a local player. So what you need to do would be to acquire an even larger, more reputable company of bigger size, global company. So I would imagine, okay, maybe there are examples, but I mean it's very rare that a company can build a global brand by acquisition. Logically, see what I mean? And also, acquisition usually, if you lack some lack some technology, you lack some production, perhaps you can do an acquisition. And if you're going for great demand on acquisition, unless you're buying a very very successful distribution network, whatever, it's also not usual for a company to create demand by acquisition. So by acquisition to get global brand and demand is something interesting. I wonder if you can quote any successful examples in the real world.
Examples.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
So far, we can't think of any yet.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of presentation, if you want to convince the investors about your argument, I think it's good you can think of some examples, real life examples, and then you can convince people. Because otherwise, we just think about it and then this may not be that good.
Is it okay if I give an example now?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I was thinking of the INTI group, the one that owns Zara. I know Zara is the main winner for them, but they also acquire other brands like they have a lingerie line, and they have Pull and Bear. Massimo Dutti, which is not really done. So they acquire those. So they do it in order to have more demand, to diversify, to have demands in that certain area. So I think that would be one example of them.
Well, I want to argue about that. I think it's good next time you do presentation, do some evidences which will help you to win some points.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions? We still have 6 minutes. If not,
In terms of the alternative, you talk about strategic alliance. Have you give much thought about your strategic alliances?
We were thinking of strategic alliance in terms of outsourcing certain value chain activities that perhaps they are not so strong in. For example, obviously their marketing campaign didn't really work, so perhaps they should outsource them maybe to a firm to help them to have fresh ideas of what they should do, because maybe currently they are using their own people to think of marketing campaigns. So perhaps if they should outsource that part to a firm, then it will help them to improve in the area.
I think to add on to that, because the strength by investing 800 million into a manufacturing plant, there's going to be a massive strength. And in terms of the strategic alliance part, I think that's how we look at it, as something that might work, whereby Lenovo being the manufacturer and supplying these hardwares to Huawei, which is actually the one that is going to be getting the demand from the consumers.
What do you think is the characteristic of a company that is able to do protect and attack strategy? Because in my view, I always see Lenovo as being a very big company, and certainly the other strategic option come into mind, it would be being a fast follower or being a last mover strategy as well. Do you think, what do you think would be the characteristic as a protect and attack strategy? Why would that work? I mean, it's been working for them.
Sorry, so
What is the characteristic? What do you think the characteristic in terms of you protect and attack has been working for them?
Yes.
What is the characteristic? How do you actually taking advantage of that characteristic?
I would say because in terms of the PC market, they are very strong in the PC market in China, so they've been protecting that, and they attack because they already have a very strong hold in China. Then they can use that position in order to also help them to go global, because they have maybe they have the experience and they have very good how do you say, top management, so that helps them to do that.